worth it, Michal?
I hope so too.
Okay. So, as you know, this week's parsha is the parsha of Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, and we're just going to have a quick look at a couple of things in chapter 20 in Perek Chaf. Melissa, you want to finish 183? Here we have one. Come sit there. You're so frozen, you have to sit over there, yeah? Who needs another one? Anybody? Okay. So this is the chapter of the Ten Commandments. Okay? There's actually 13 or 14 mitzvot in the Ten Commandments, depending on which opinion you go with, whether you consider believing in God as a mitzvah or not. There's an opinion that says that believing in God is not a mitzvah because the word mitzvah means commandment. So if somebody says it's a commandment to believe in God, and you say, who said so? And you say, God says so. Well, if they don't believe, they don't believe. You know what I mean? So according to one opinion, they don't count that as one of the 613 mitzvot. So the opening verse of this chapter says like this: "V'yidaber Elokim et kol hadvarim ha'ele leimor." Do you have it, Marissa? Here, why don't you take this? Here, take this. Just take this. Chapter 20. Okay. "V'yidaber Elokim et kol hadvarim ha'ele leimor." God spoke all these words, leimor, to be said. So the famous question over here is, usually when it says, for example, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe leimor, God spoke to Moshe, leimor means tell the others what I'm telling you, right? That's what leimor means. And over here, Shmuel, move a little back so I can see that young man. Hey, I know. So, but over here, the Torah tells us later on in Dvorim, it says that panim b'panim diber Hashem imachem, God spoke with you face to face. Et asher yeshno po hayom, et asher eneno po hayom, imano hayom. God spoke to every one of us. We were all there at Har Sinai. Maybe not in body, but every Jewish neshama was there at Har Sinai. In fact, also, there's an opinion that says that one search from Reb Shlomo, that Hashem actually invited the whole world to come to the giving of the Torah. But the only nation that came as an entire nation was the Jewish nation. But individuals from other nations did come, and these are the neshamas of people who come to convert through the generations. Mm-hmm. They were actually, in fact, there's a whole famous story with Graf Potocki, that before he converted, the Baal Shem Tov already saw him as a child. He went and picked him up and played with him a little bit, and then his students asked him, like, "Why'd you do that?" He says, "This soul stood next to me at Mount Sinai." So there were people that actually had memory going back all the way there. Okay. So the question over here is, if Hashem spoke to us face to face, then why does it say "lemo," to be spoken? Right? If somebody's talking to you directly and they're telling you, this is what I'm saying to you, I'm talking to you. I'm not telling you to go and tell it to somebody else, right? So the Alter Rebbe, there are different answers for this question. Ms. Chasidis, the Alter Rebbe explains that everything that we're learning in Torah has already been spoken to Moshe at Mount Sinai. And even in the Talmud, when it says Rabbi so-and-so says this and Rabbi so-and-so says that and so on, they are speaking the words that Hashem already spoke to Moshe at Har Sinai. And the ultimate way of learning Torah, which is achieved through bittul, which means nullification of the egotistical self. The ultimate way of learning Torah is that when you're learning Torah, you are merely and purely repeating the words that Hashem is speaking. In other words, that they're not your words, they're not separate from God, but rather they are the words that Hashem is speaking on Mount Sinai now, eternally, and that you are giving it a voice right now in this world. And if you do it with utmost bittul, with utmost nullification of the self to God, then you are actually bringing down the Or Ein Sof, you're bringing down the light of the Infinite One into this world at the moment that you're learning.
Just words of Torah or all words at one speak?
Words of Torah.
I'm sorry?
Torah, Tanakh, Talmud, Torah. But even the point is that, that one can speak words of Torah and it doesn't mean that they're connected. Okay? And the famous story when Rabbi Leibel Eger went to Kotsk the first time, and it was Yom Kippur. So Yom Kippur night after davening, he was sitting in the Beit Midrash and he was learning. And in the meantime, a couple of Kosker Hasidim are already lying on the benches sleeping and so on. And one of them comes in with a bottle of wine, goes over to his friend, "Hey, Matel, did you make Kiddush yet?" And Matel says, "Leave me alone, I'm sleeping." "Matel, it's Yom Kippur night, it's the holiest night of the year, we got to make Kiddush." And the Leibel Eger is like sitting there like, what? Yom Kippur be passed. And he says, "Come on, Matel, hurry up." So he says, "Okay, let's do it fast." And he pours him a cup of wine, and Matel picks it up. He says, "Sarima Ranan Baruch," and Rabbi Leibel screams, "Stop!" And they look at him and they say, "What do you want?" Little kid, he was like 18 years old. He says, "You're not allowed to do that." They say, "Who said?" "It says in the Torah." He says, "Leave us alone. Come on, Matel, Kiddush." He starts again, "Sarima Ranan Baruch Ato." And again, Rabbi Leibel screams, "Stop!" And they say, "What do you want?" He says, "You're not allowed to do that." "Who said?" "It says in Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law." "Get out of here." "Come on, Matel, Kiddush." Sarima Ranan Baruch Ato Adoi. And he screams again, "Stop! What do you want? You're not allowed to do that." "Who said?" "God said." "Oh, God said?" They put it down. That's how they initiated him. You understand? Like when you're learning Torah, we have to know Hashem is speaking to us now. And if you can do it on the level of real Kedusha, then you don't interfere. You're just repeating with God's words, and you're literally bringing Hashem's words into the world. Okay? So when
we learn by yourself.
Also. That's why you should verbalize the words when you're learning also. So God spoke all these words, lemor, for us to speak them and to say them, right? And it's reported that when the Baal Shem Tov would be learning with his students would experience the thunder and the lightning that was present at Mount Sinai while the Torah was given. Also steht in the Heilige Schrift. Okay, so now if you have a piece of paper, fine. If not, don't worry about it. But so use your visualization. So we have the 10 Commandments on 2 tablets, right? 5 and 5, right? Actually, there's a shul in Montreal that they had an artist do like a big sculpture of the 10 Commandments. And what the guy did was he took all the words of the 10 Commandments and divided them in half and put half on one and put half on the other, because it's not even the amount of words, between 5 and 5. So I couldn't believe it when I saw it, Anyway, so we heard the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai, and that's the entire Torah encapsulated. Everything is in the 10 Commandments. Okay, all 613 mitzvot are there. Everything is there, literally. Well, literally, no, but it's all there. Okay. So now visualize like this. So first of all, basically, we've already learned that you don't see a soul. You only see the presence of the soul through the garments of the soul. The garments of the soul are basically machshava, dibur, and maaseh, thought, speech, and action. Right? How do I know that you're alive? How do I know that that you have a neshama there. I see that you're thinking, you're speaking, you're doing something. That means that you've got a neshama, right? No neshama, you don't do none of that. Okay. Now, there are a number of different ways to categorize the mitzvot. One is to group them into positive and negative, things that you should do, things that you shouldn't do. Another way is to group them into laws that we understand, laws that we don't understand, mishpatim and chukim. Another way is to group them according to who does these mitzvot, kohanim, leviyim, yisraelim. Another way is, there are a number of ways to group the mitzvot, and one way to group the mitzvot is to think about how do we do this mitzvah? Do we do it with machshava? Do we do it in our mind? Right, the mind is the way your soul communicates with yourself. Do we do it through speech, the way your soul communicates with others, or do we do it in action, the way your soul interacts with the world? Now, when we speak about machshava, we mean not only the mind, we mean the mind and the heart, okay? So now, let's go through the 10 Commandments, and there's going to be overlap, okay? So just tell me mainly how each one is performed. So the first one, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, the first one is the second verse in the chapter, I am Hashem your God. How do you fulfill that commandment? By believing in God. It's your mind and heart, right? The second one, Lo yeh lecha Elohim acherim, you may not have any other gods. How is that one done? Primarily, also in mind and heart, not to believe in anything other than God, right? The third one, Lo tisah Hashem Elokecha lashav, do not use God's name in vain. Do not take an oath with God's name in vain. How do we do that one? Speech, right? The fourth one, Zachor et Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho, the mitzvah of making Kiddush, sanctifying Shabbos, saying good Shabbos, making Kiddush. How do you do that primarily? Dibur. And speech is the way you do it, and action is what you don't do, right? Okay? But it's action, so, like I said, there's overlap, right? So, and then the fifth one, Kaved et avicha v'et imecha, honor your father and mother. Action, right? Well, also speech and also the way, your attitude towards them and so on. But primarily, when the Gemara defines honor your father and mother, it says give them food and give them drink, dress them. When do you do that with your parents? When does a kid dress their parents and feed them and take when they're older and they can't do it themselves, right? So that's the action of the mitzvah of honor your father and mother. Okay, so what did we do here on the first tablet? We went from mind and heart to speech, right? To action, right? Clear to everybody? Mm-hmm. Now let's look at the second tablet. Lo tirtzach, don't commit murder. Action. Lo tinaf, don't commit adultery. Action. Lo tignov, don't kidnap. Action. Lo taneh v'reacha et shav, don't bear false witness. Speech, right? Lo tachmod, don't covet. Thought and heart, right? So that's called the chiastic parallel. You understand? So on the first tablet, you went from mind to speech to action. On the second tablet, you're going from action to speech to mind. So that's called the chiastic parallel. That means that the top of the first one is paralleling the bottom of the second one. The center is paralleling each other, the centers, and then the top of the second one is paralleling the bottom of the first one. Right? Like chiastic, chiastic, chiastic parallel. Okay, sort of like almost like a figure eight. Okay. Now, what's the point of that? And I learned this from Nechama Leibovitch in her book, in her Sefer. What's the point of that? The point of that is as follows. One thing is like this. So first of all, the first tablet is a group of mitzvot that are between man and God. The second tablet is mitzvot between man and man. So between man and God, where do you start? You start with your mind and your faith and your belief. And that faith has to be such that it even affects the way you speak. And not only does it affect the way you speak, it also affects the way you behave. And the second tablet is the reverse. Between man and man, it starts off with action, right? Don't hurt anyone in action. And then not only shouldn't you hurt anyone in action, but you shouldn't even hurt anyone with your power of speech. And not only shouldn't you hurt anyone with your power of speech, but you also shouldn't have any thoughts of coveting what belongs to another person. That's a very deep, important lesson. Okay? Now, so what parallels the first commandment? We just said, huh?
What parallels it?
What's the parallel?
Don't covet.
Don't covet, right? What is the meaning of that? What's the idea that it parallels? It's good. So it parallels it, mazel tov. What does it mean?
Parallel in the first tablet, you mean?
The first and the 10th. So they're parallel. They're both thought and mind, mind and heart. But what does it mean?
Well,
Parallel means they're the same.
There's something very similar between them, right? But what does that mean to say? There's something very similar between believing in God and not coveting, right? In other words, if you really believe in God, you believe that Hashem is giving you everything that you need. And there's no reason to covet what somebody else has. If you covet what somebody else has, it means that you don't completely trust that God's divvied up the pie properly. Right? That's significant. Right? So, one thing that you can do when you find yourself being jealous, by the way, covet doesn't mean that I see you driving around in a car and I want one also. That's not coveting. Coveting is, how come you have it and I don't have it? Right? 1 second. So when you find yourself feeling like, like how come they have it and I don't have it, stop for a moment and just reconnect yourself with your faith in God. In other words, of course you believe in Hashem, but it doesn't mean that you're always thinking about that. It doesn't mean that we're always conscious of that and experiencing it. So just stop, reconnect yourself with your soul, with your faith in Hashem, and you'll see you're not going to be feeling any covet.
My friend told me yesterday that envy isn't just wanting what somebody else has. It's wanting what somebody else has and also not wanting them to
Not wanting them to have it. Yeah. That's what you understand is I know that it's yours, but I want it. Right? Okay, so I apologize. I have to stop now. Okay, I told you yesterday that we have to go. But in any case, that's the idea, and we should all be blessed to learn Torah in a way that is connected with the source where it's coming from. To connect it, we should be connected with the source of where it's coming from.
are they all parallel like that?